4020.
What do we call you these days anyway?
Kelsey Gentles.
See, there you go. She's a modern woman. She's not changed her name in rugby. Yeah.
I'm disappointed there isn't disappointed there isn't a double barrel. Everybody's going double barreled.
Well, I was thinking about possibly doing it, but it is a lot of letters.
Trust
Can't
me,
make a shirt.
I mean, I was born with it, so I don't have a choice.
I saw like in Australia, Tiana Penatani, like she's just been married and her name's Penatani Gray now. And I count it's the same amount of letters that I will have if I go to Gentles Ogden, which I am thinking about doing when I sign for my new club. So I'm just thinking about, how it's going to look on the back and when I'm running it in, because I've got a short torso, so my shirt always folds. You can't even tell what it says anyway.
I think half at the top and half at the bottom.
Yeah, possibly. Well, Jacob won't be happy about that. It'll definitely be the Ogden bit that you can't see.
I'm saying we started the podcast. I'm saying this is all staying in because this is important stuff. We're not asking you anything libelous or anything, so that's okay. How's your knee? Kelsey Gentles is here, by the way, listeners. You've already realised that. How's your knee?
It's good. It's doing really well. I've started running and everything. So now I'm back on the field, kind of doing some conditioning. Like, I feel like I'm ticking all the boxes off really well. So I'm pretty chuffed.
There's 8 teams in the Women's Super League. You've just left one of them. Have the other 7 been on the phone or just 2 so far?
I've had a couple of conversations, about my future and about where I see myself as a player and as a probably like a role model for the younger generation, those younger players that are coming through. So yeah, I've had a couple of conversations, but nothing solidified yet. Just seeing where the wind takes me.
On the subject of your injury, what sort of support do women get when they have the need for surgery, rehab, scans, all that kind of thing? Is that support there for you?
Yeah, I think initially, yeah, the support is there. With my injury, it was a little bit tricky because I was coming back from having a baby and the situation probably wasn't the cleanest when I got injured and stuff. But in general, at the club I've just been at, that they are really supportive when it comes to medical care and they'll send you for a scan and stuff. I think it does get tricky when it comes to surgeries because they're expensive. And in the women's game, there is a lot of knee injuries. So like at York, there was like 4 girls that all got injured with the knees. Are York going to pay for 4 surgeries? Probably not. So it's one of those where it's unfortunate that we're not fully professional because then that would be something we wouldn't even have to think about. But unfortunately, we aren't. So the NHS is where we have to go. I had to go through the NHS and it was a massive surgery. And to be honest, I'm really glad I did because I got a really good surgeon who was at the top of his field in what he did. And I've gone from strength to strength. I haven't had any issues. So like realistically, I don't have anything to complain about.
There's a lot of people talk about we need to put more money into the women's game and be more professional to catch up with obviously what's happening in the Southern Hemisphere. Surely that can't just be about paying players. That won't improve the standard overnight. I mean, it would enable you to probably not have employment in other spheres and train most days of the week. But is it about the package of support that players get that makes you more professional? A bit like what Wigan have done with Oral and having a bespoke area for the women?
Yeah, definitely. I think if we could clean up certain areas of the sport where things are still kind of in that amateur region, because right now we're in a kind of hybrid place where some things are really professional and we're held to those high standards where, you're professional athletes, you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. And then there's some things that are still quite amateur. For example, like having to go to A&E after a game when you've hurt yourself because there isn't that medical package, I guess, to look after you and things like that. So I think in order for us to get to a place where we're going to be competing in the Southern Hemisphere, it needs to be professional from top to bottom. You can't pick and choose what things you're going to be professional in and what things you're going to, stay at the amateur level. And I know it's all about money and every club is struggling and, they're struggling with their men's team. So how can we expect them to kind of take care of the women's teams when the men's are struggling? And I think any player in the Women's Super League understands that, and we understand like the situation the sport's in. It's just sad without any minx in my words. It's a really sad situation to be in because we want to be better. We want to be competing in the Southern Hemisphere, but those above us and those making those decisions, they just haven't got the resources to give us what we need.
Well, you mentioned mentoring young players and stuff. You're still young yourself, aren't you? Come on, you're not old.
I don't know. Is 26 young?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like I'm heading over the hill now. 30 is like looming and it's just dragging me to it. And I'm like, please, I want to be 21 again. COVID robbed my best years and it's just, that's sad. That's sad for me personally. Like the COVID situation just robbed like a lot of our best years because we couldn't do what we needed to do.
I think before I upset you, the first time we spoke was at Bellevue after Castleford beat Wakefield in the semi-final of the Challenge Cup. Was that the 100-0 game? I think it was the first time I saw a 100 and you scored 5 tries or whatever. Did they rankle when you all moved en masse, it seemed, to York? And the criticism of York was, well, you just Castleford in disguise. Did that upset you at the time?
Yeah, it did. Because it wasn't an easy decision to leave Castleford. You know, if you've asked anyone about my time there, I loved it. It was fantastic. You know, I didn't want to leave. And that our hand was kind of forced and I had to have a sit down, think about, you know, where's my career going? Like, if this is what's going to happen, like, where is it all going to end? I wasn't going to Australia at that moment in time. So I needed to make the best out of a bad situation here in the UK. And York was the best of the situation. Like, why would I stay in a situation that's not serving you, where you feel like you felt undervalued, you felt like, you know, me personally and all the other girls that were there had given everything to that team. And, you know, we couldn't give any more. You know, we were trying our hardest week in, week out. We had won the League Leaders Shield. We'd fallen short in the Challenge Cup final twice, and that was really hurting us. And you know, I think if the situation would have been better, nobody would have left, and everyone would have stayed. So it was like to get a lot of backlash, and there was some really unkind comments after I left, which still hurt to this day. Like, there's a reason why I don't really look in my Twitter DMs anymore, because when I left Castleford, that's where a lot of like the vitriol came from upset people who were not happy that I'd left York, and they were like, there was abuse, there was racist abuse. It was quite disgusting the way it all turned quite sour quite quickly, and that was hurtful for me because I felt like I'd given everything to that club.
Yeah, that is no wonder you didn't reply to my messages really quickly. I understand now. I wasn't sending abuse, by the way, just for people to realise. The World Cup Nines, which was a great event that hasn't been repeated. Do you think, why did you bother making that tackle? Because they scored straight afterwards?
No, because I thought everyone was getting back. I didn't know that there was only like me and Rudgy there, to be fair. But no, you know, that's what I'm there to do. I'm there to play rugby, and you know, I probably didn't have the greatest time at the Nines myself as part of the team. Like, we just weren't ready, and it was maybe a little bit of like a redemption that I actually knew how to play rugby and knew how to tackle, because it felt like in those games, like my shoulders just weren't working. Like, what I was tackling the same way, but like it just wasn't having the same effect it was having in England against the Australians and against New Zealand. So I felt like, oh, when I made that tackle, I was knackered, but I thought, oh well, you know, at least I've done something well for the team while I'm here. It's not a wasted opportunity. But yeah, it was painful.
So if you were 21, would you be looking to have a contract in the NRLW?
Yeah, I would be, honestly speaking, because look at the competition over there. Look at everything that goes on. You know, it is you when you're 21, you want to challenge yourself. And I probably feel like if I was 21-year-old Kelsey, would have probably done quite well in the NRL. Like, I had the speed. I think I would have gone over there and challenged myself. And hopefully I would have done okay. But I don't know. I've never been to Australia. I don't know how hard it is there. Holly tells me all the time how difficult it is. So then I say that and I think, actually, no, Kelsey, you probably would have come back in 6 months.
So if you say your best years are over, I doubt it. You probably don't think that an international recall will come maybe for England, but you actually managed to successfully completely change the position that you played and had a huge influence on that York team that went to the grand final. Surely you're not writing yourself off this early.
No, I'm not. I make jokes saying like I'm old because I'm 26, but realistically, I'm not. There's people that make England debuts at like 28, 29, and I still have that desire inside me to play for England again because I'm not done. If I was done, I probably just wouldn't play anymore. I'd probably just go into a different part of the sport, and because I still think I have something to give. But that I still think I have something to give playing as well. I am going to go to another team, I think, and I hope I can bring something, and I hope a different coach and maybe a different environment can bring out something else in me and take me to another level, and then an England call-up will come. I'm not sitting down at night and dreaming about it and thinking about it all the time because I don't think that's healthy. I do have other things going on in my life. I've got a really young family and things like that. So if it comes, it comes. That would be fantastic. I'd love to play for my country again. I think it's the highest honour you can ever achieve. But if it doesn't, I'm happy to just excel in Super League and just do what I want, do what I can for another team, and hopefully bring another team success. And I'm happy to play wherever on the field. I'm not precious about playing wing or playing prop or playing wherever. I'll play it wherever they need me to do a job. So I'm pretty secure in myself in that sense.
Is it strange to read about yourself in terms of you're rumored to move to this club or that club or whatever? Is that a strange feeling to have as just a normal person?
Yeah, it's weird. I was laughing yesterday when I read something about myself because I thought, where did they get this information from? Like, you've not asked me. So who are you speaking to? Because I've not signed for anyone yet. Like, I'm here. I was just sitting in my garden having a lovely afternoon, and then this pops up on social media. So I think it's really funny. And then it's funny for people at work in my actual job to then send me and say like, oh, I just read this about you on Facebook. And I'm saying, yeah, that's my other life, I guess. And I think it's weird for at work, my work colleagues to think that, wow, like you're an actual person outside of here. Like you do something else with your life. Like when you leave here, you're going somewhere else to make other things happen. I think it's just in a way, like we're kind of lucky because not everyone can have that in their life.
Oh, it's superb, and you get to be on the telly as well. You're still enjoying the excitement of standing on Wembley and talking about the game rather than playing it.
Yeah, I do enjoy it, and it's definitely a learning experience, and I'm definitely learning the best way to do things and to carry myself when I'm on TV and things like that. But I am really enjoying it, and maybe that's something I will do in the future more when I'm starting to play rugby less and starting to do more of the TV stuff. But right now, I'm just like enjoying the opportunities I get given because I am really lucky in that sense to even get the opportunity. If I wasn't doing that, I would have never stepped foot in Wembley. Because my team's never got there. And so I think I am lucky in that sense that I get to stand at Wembley and talk about two other fantastic teams that have had great Challenge Cup runs to get themselves there. But equally, I want to be there as a player. Like I do have that aspiration before I retire to be at Wembley myself, to be walking out and to experience the other side of it because when you're watching it from the sidelines, it is phenomenal.
So you mentioned that you'd still like to play at Wembley. That's probably going to determine which club you might sign for next because
Yeah, probably.
the
Yeah,
top
I do have
four,
those aspirations.
yeah. I mean, the top four are breaking away even after sort of 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Do you think it's been a good idea to go to 8 teams this early?
I mean, initially, I did think it was the right thing because playing the top four on just a continuous cycle, it probably wouldn't be good for any of us because it probably just get a bit stale. It is good to play those other teams, and I think it's good for them to play against probably the top four because you don't know what's going to come out in a game. It's 80 minutes, anything can happen. And even though you might not win the game, you can win in different ways, you can win in different areas. For example, when Huddersfield played York last weekend, they didn't win the game, but they definitely won in different areas. Having a conversation with some of those players, they said they couldn't feel any better, like even if they did win, because the moral victory they got from that, the confidence it instills in you both individually as a player and as a team, I think that those things are really, really valuable. So I think it is good. It's it's apples and oranges. It's good that we have the 8-team format. It's not good when teams are being beat 86-0 and 100-0 because that's demoralising and it doesn't feel good as the winning team to do that. You don't walk off the pitch like, wow, that was fantastic, because it wasn't. A lot of girls. Rugby league is a very small sport. You know how they're going to be feeling. So it's really difficult, but. On the other hand, if we played on just the same 4 teams every week, like, would that be an entertaining product? Probably not. Because by the end of the season, the top 4 play each other loads anyway.
Time is going to beat us, Phil. So ask a simple one.
I was just going to say, we've seen a lot of development rugby league under 19s being played at most clubs in competitive games. Is this the talent pool that we need, that in 3 or 4 years' time we'll look back and say, whatever's happening now, it was worth it?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Let's look at Wigan. 4 years ago, they were not doing well. They were really struggling in matches, struggling to finish the 80 minutes. They had a lot of injuries. And I think now they're seeing the fruition of all that heartache that came from it. So I think, they're a product to look at, saying like they've put in the work and it was difficult, but now it's coming to fruition. And, they're going to be challengers probably for the treble this year because they're playing so well. So it's like, heartache now, it's going to come good in a few years, and I think a lot of the bottom 4 clubs are thinking of that through.
Well, time has beaten us, mainly because clubs are on the phone to you. That's very disrespectful. We arrange this and everything, and people phone up and make plans. Good luck with insert name of club here when you sign for somebody else, and I'm sure we'll see you again. Now we're friends now. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
All right, yeah, I'll see you guys soon.